Welcome to the Heavy Pour with James and Lanissa.
Today we're going to be talking about a really interesting beer. It is by the Bruery, literally, the Bruery.
The Bruery.
Yes. And they've done a series of Berliner Weisses. This one happens to be the Cucumber. I'm going to say that it's pronounced Frucht.
Frucht.
Yes, German-style beer, so
Yeah.
probably the German pronunciation. Like I said, it's a Berliner Weiss-style beer, and they've done a series of these.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really excited to give it a shot because cucumber's kind of a weird one to do with a Berliner Weiss.
It's very unusual.
Give us a little more info on a Berliner Weiss.
Seeing this at the beer store, I actually think that this was recommended to us.
It was.
Yeah.
It
and
was.
then we
Yep.
saw it. We saw the art on the label.
And I've had some experience with the brewery and have loved them in the past. So.
Yeah. You have always tried to get me into this brewery.
It's true.
And I have been somewhat reluctant.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
some of the examples that I've had have been a little bit mediocre.
And I think that part of that is because I first experienced the brewery while I was working in a Belgian beer bar. And my experiences were just with the brewery's foray into Belgian styles. And anything that you and I have shared together from this place has been just weird experimental styles.
Yeah, not that.
Which is
Yeah.
something that they're known for.
Yeah.
But we haven't spent a lot of time with their more standard styles.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how their take on a
Yeah.
more traditional style
So
of beer.
getting into this style, we're
Yeah.
talking about a Berliner Weiss. The expectation of a Berliner Weiss is that it's a sour beer. It's a sour style of beer at a low ABV. This one is a 4.3. The way that they get the souring into the beer is lactobacillus, which is really interesting. Lactobacillus is only usable with low IBU beers. So given that hops have a natural tendency to kill bacteria, they're good for their antimicrobial properties. You can't use a lot of hops in your lactobacillus soured beers. So you would never find a beer that's above 10 IBUs to have lactobacillus souring. Which means that we are not expecting any hoppiness from this beer.
No, absolutely not.
But we are expecting some of that lactobacillus delicious sour quality.
Yes. Yeah. We're really excited about sour beers in general, so we'll have to see how this stacks up.
Yeah. So let's pour it.
Let's do it.
Give me some of your expectation.
Just based on what we know about this beer, I'm expecting it to be very crisp, very clean. The cucumber note kind of denotes just like a very crisp is the best word I can use for that. So we're expecting it to be very fresh, very clean, very crisp. I think it would be a really great summer beer. We're a little late on the punch there because it is not summer anymore. But I think it'll still be a really enjoyable experience despite it being fall now.
Fall, October, hence all the Halloween decorations.
Yes, yeah. If you were wondering about the bloody handprints, that's why. We're getting really into the spirit. So we'll probably be doing some pumpkin beers next, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's get to the cucumber.
Okay, so appearance.
Very, very little head.
None.
I mean, non-existent.
Zero.
Non-existent. Very little is incorrect. It is non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very just. It almost looks more like a cider from first glance, like very, very yellow cider.
Yeah. It's got
It's got a
like
really
a
pretty
pale
color
orange.
though. Yeah, I would say I would expect this to, just based on looks, I would say mango would be my first thought.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like
Even though we know there's no mango.
Yeah, I would expect like a mango pineapple.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So this looks more like a juice than it does a beer at first glance.
Yeah.
You can't see any carbonation, but that doesn't mean there isn't any. We just
it is cloudy. It's very foggy.
That's true.
Obviously, this is unfiltered. I think that is standard for the style. I think Berliner Weisses are traditionally unfiltered beers.
Yeah.
So it's not light can penetrate, but only opaquely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's give it a nose.
Nose this thing. Very unusual. The cucumber is such a a strong dominant note there.
It is, but you can tell that there's a little something extra going on there. It's almost on the verge of pickle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
For
like
sure.
they've added so the nose feels like it took the cucumber a step further.
Yeah, it does have that really interesting pickle note. Vinegar.
It's one of the
cucumber.
sweeter pickles, though, which is interesting. It's not like a dill pickle. It's more like a bread and butter.
Well, even
the sweetness.
The immediate note that I get is sitting in a diner that makes their own pickles, because they haven't been pickling for that long. They still have that fresh cucumber presence,
Absolutely.
but with a little bit of tang, with a little bit of spice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little more of a fresh pickle than it is a fresh cucumber.
Right.
Interesting.
Very unusual.
Should we give it a taste?
Let's taste it.
All right. Oh.
Very sour.
It's very sour, which
Wow.
might be the reason for the more pickle experience than the fresh cucumber, because I wouldn't expect a cucumber to make you pucker. When you think about cucumber flavors, you think about clean and very just simple and bright.
It's the crisp part of a salad. It's the clean note.
Yeah, but this is...
They must have... It's so funny. This is such a sour beer.
It is.
They must have added a lot of that cucumber to sort of try to balance that.
I think so.
But I feel like the sourness sort of steals the show.
It really does.
I'm not getting a lot of... As much as I was getting the cucumber in the nose, I'm not getting a ton in the flavor.
No, agreed. And now, after tasting it and nosing it again, I'm getting even more pickle. Mm-hmm. So I think that... Oh, that's weird, because I don't feel like it's cucumber anymore. I feel like it's gone full on pickle.
But my palate is having a really hard time with it. The sourness is to the level where it instantly dries out your palate. I have this like sort of dry mouthfeel. It's very... I would say it's to the extreme point of champagne-y in its
I
dryness.
wouldn't disagree with that. Sure. And as we'd mentioned before, you can't see a lot of the bubbles that are indicating the carbonation, but you do feel it.
Yeah, it's very light on the palate.
It's there.
As dry as it makes your palate, there is some of that sparkly,
Some of the effervescence,
champagne-y sort of presence to it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling a little bit with the cucumber still, because I feel like this belongs more as a side to a deli sandwich than it does like a fresh summer
I agree.
palate cleanser.
It is so unusual.
It's very unusual.
And I don't think that I would gravitate to cucumber in a beer. And I hope that that's not me being closed-minded. My memories of cucumbers, I think, pollute some of this experience.
I feel like I've had some really decent cucumber beers in the past.
Have you?
I don't think that they've been sours, though. I think that's what's holding me back. I think the sour aspect just makes the cucumber turn into a pickle. I've had some very satisfying, very crisp cucumber beers. I've had some that were duds as well, but I think that I'm having a hard time classifying this as a cucumber beer, even though the cucumber note is there subtly.
Yeah, this is a funny one for me because
It's
the
very
sourness
strange.
is so incredibly strong. And I want, at a certain point, from taking sip after sip, for my palate to sort of get used to it, for me to be a little bit desensitized to this experience. But so far, this is not happening.
It's not. No.
So
every sip is... you don't get used to it. Every sip is just like having the first sip.
So I think that this is becoming unpleasant for me, honestly.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's almost getting to the point where it's drinking carbonated pickle juice.
Yeah. How would you score this bad boy? And just a note that this is I don't think we mentioned it before. This is a 4.3% beer. Berliner Weisses
Are traditionally lower.
traditional the style
3.
is 3 to 4%, depending on who's making it. 4.3%. There's not any alcohol backbone to this. I get no alcohol presence whatsoever.
No.
It's unfortunate because I feel like that would add complexity for me. The best sours that I've ever had have been a little bit higher.
We really enjoy the barrel-aged sours.
Yeah,
that
the
we've
big
had.
barrel-aged sours,
Yeah,
6%,
it's true.
7% sours.
Not that I don't enjoy like a session style sour.
No.
I've had some really good ones like that
Yeah,
before,
likewise.
but those tend to be a little more floral or a little more fruity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure cucumber pickle is
Yeah, I
the
don't
way
think
to
so.
approach it.
So let's
well-
talk about scores now.
Okay, if you want to score it as pickle juice, it's very high. But
Yeah.
since it's not pickle juice, I'm probably going to give it a 2.5.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 1. I do not enjoy this beer. I think it is straight vinegar, sourness. It's just not great.
Yeah,
It doesn't strike me as refreshing as I
Pretty
think
low
they
on
set
our
out to
scale.
be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Us going into this thinking that, we are missing out on the summer season with this refreshing beer, I feel a little less like we're missing out on the refreshing summer beer.
Bring on the
style.
fall. Bring on
Yeah.
the winter.
We're gonna
We're going to dive into some heavier
Yeah.
beers.
So stay tuned for more fall, winter style beers.
Cheers.
But thanks for joining us.